This election, as you all know, has been upended by the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade, so I want to ask all of you about federal abortion policy. Earlier this month, a bipartisan group of senators, including your party's 2016 vice presidential nominee, introduced a bill called the Reproductive Freedom for All Act. The sponsors say it would restore the status quo by allowing elective abortions up to fetal viability, then allowing abortions post-viability if needed to protect the life and health of a pregnant woman. Ms. Fox, would you vote for or against the Reproductive Freedom for All Act?
I would vote for it. I believe in a woman's right to choose, and I believe now, given the actions of the Supreme Court, it is up to Congress to protect a woman's right to choose in law. This is about healthcare. This is about a woman being able to make her own healthcare decisions. This is also about privacy. Privacy is under threat here. And we've heard from the likely Republican opponent in this race, Alan Fung, that he would leave it up to states. We are already seeing that state-by-state action on this issue is absolutely disastrous and life-threatening. It should not matter where you live or how much money you have and whether or not you can access the reproductive services that you need to get.
Some of the pro-choice groups have pushed back against this bill, saying they only want to look at the Women's Health Protection Act. They say this doesn't go far enough. You think this is a step that is worth taking?
Yes.
All right, I'll put the same question to Mr. Magaziner. Would you vote for or against the Reproductive Freedom for All Act?
Women deserve the right to make their own healthcare decisions and not have those decisions be made by politicians in Washington, D.C. I fought 3 years ago alongside so many people to codify the protections of Roe v. Wade into state law in Rhode Island. But now, if Alan Fung and Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans take control of Congress, we know that the Republicans in Congress are going to try to pass a national abortion ban that would override the state-level protections that so many of us fought for. So choice is on the ballot this year. And we need to do what we did in Rhode Island, which is codify the protections of Roe v. Wade into federal law. That is going to be a high priority for me as Rhode Island's next member of Congress. We have to protect the right of women to make their own decisions.
Do you think those states should have the right to place restrictions on elective abortions after viability?
I think that we should have the exact same framework that was in place for 49 years under Roe v. Wade. The protections that were available under Roe v. Wade guided policymaking at the state level for 49 years. Those protections were ripped away by a far-right Supreme Court that Donald Trump and the far-right Republicans in Washington installed to turn back the clock. So what I support doing at the federal level in Congress is codifying the same protections that were in place under Roe v. Wade for 49 years.
We'll continue on the line. Ms. Morgan.
This is a deeply personal issue for women, and all the more reason why we need to send the first Democratic woman to Congress from Rhode Island to fight for these
Well, let me bring in another woman on the stage, Ms. Morgenthau. Would you vote for or against the Reproductive Freedom for All Act?
This issue is deeply personal. It's personal to me. I'm the mother of 3 children. I have juggled work and family, worrying about what I'm getting in the kids' lunch boxes, and then making sure that I am also have my eyes on the biggest national security issues when I was in the Obama administration working at Homeland Security. I am the mother of 3 children, and I think today that my daughter has less rights than I did when I was her age, and I shudder to think about that. And this is why I think that we have an opportunity to send the first Democratic woman to Congress from Rhode Island. We need a fresh perspective. We need a woman's perspective. We need a mother's perspective, and we need a lawyer's perspective, which I also have.
And so would you vote for or against, if you were that first Democratic woman, the Reproductive Freedom for All Act?
I would absolutely vote for it.
Mr. Siegel, finally for you, would you vote for or against that bill if it came up?
So this is an issue I've been working on for 15 plus years. I was one of a handful of people who were co-sponsors of Roe codification back when I served in the General Assembly. There were 4 or 5 of us on these bills back then. And I would do what I did then. I would follow the lead of groups like Planned Parenthood and understand their analysis of the politics of the moment and figure out if we can push further or not. I think that we need to take measures to push back against the Supreme Court, which is unhinged and is the way it is because of a bargain cut between reactionary right-wing social forces and big business over the course of recent years. One way that we can do that is to codify protections that it seems like they might be on the verge of stripping away, and protecting choice is one such measure we need to take, along with contraception, along with LGBTQ rights, and otherwise. And when making a final decision on something like this, I would do what I've always done, which is look to the groups that are at the forefront of these issues.
If the choice groups didn't want a bill like this because they want something that goes further, would you help to kill this bill if that came up?
I would stand with the choice groups.